Hello and good afternoon, good evening, and in some places, good morning. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and friends. And of course, we have a bunch of crazy good topics to get into. Phil Spencer getting chatty with Polygon. Lots of big news there. Obviously, the handheld Xbox, whatever it's going to be called, is making the rounds. It's been trending the last couple of days. We have a white discless Series X in the wild. Some pictures were posted on social media. It turns out that actually there is going to be a no disk drive Series X releasing potentially this fall. I don't think it's not a mid-generation upgrade. It's just it's just for streaming. And if you're in that camp, then you're going to be very interested to pick that up. Okay, so as you can see right now, it's just me and J Rock. Now, J Rock does not need an introduction, but we're going to give him one just the same. J Rock, super popular dude, consistently out there on the socials. Sometimes he rubs people the right way. Sometimes he runs people the wrong way, but it's all in
Mhm.
fun. J Rock, my brother, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you here. How the
What's
heck are
good?
you
What's
doing, man?
good? What's good? What's good, Boom? A pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation. Can't wait to get into these topics. I've been doing great, man. Just came from work and rushed over from work to get home and get on the show.
Well, we are happy to have you here. So, folks, don't worry, don't despair. We do have other backup coming. Fuzzy Belvedere will be joining us momentarily, and of
Also the
course,
Avengers.
and Hargeet Chani will be joining us as well. So don't fret. We have a lot to get into, but you know what? While we wait for people to file in, while we
Mhm.
wait for the other panel members to join us, I want to kind of do some housekeeping, if you will. Now, the 28th, which is in a couple of days, right? I think that's tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Something, I don't know, Jay. I think it's a little game called Diablo 4. It's dropping into Xbox Game Pass. Now, why is that important? Well, I bought it already. I bought the deluxe edition the day it came out. And you know something? Sadly enough, I've only played, 5 minutes of it. Because
Mhm.
I'm waiting for Mrs. Boom to have some real good downtime so we can get into it. Oh,
Mhm.
speak of the devil, look, there he is, Mr. PAX East himself, Hargey Chani.
Hey,
What's
hey,
up,
hey.
dude? How you
Hey, sorry
feeling?
I'm late. Fuzzy will be in a little bit as well. We're both in C
Yes.
Money's podcast, so he's gonna grab a bite and jump in hopefully in a few minutes.
Yeah,
So
yeah, 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 yeah. So Hargeet, listen, I saw you taking pictures of everyone. How was PAX East?
yeah, it was fun. We definitely hung out with a lot of people. Got to meet a few people for the first time. I met Miles Dompierre and I
Nice.
met Ham Solo and C
What a
Money
dude.
and Doodle. Let's see who else? Oh, Mr. Matty plays. Met him for the first
Mhm.
time in person, of course, right? But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. There's a lot of games, a lot of like indie games, a lot of cool things that are being made. At times I'm like, are there enough people to play these things? It's just so much to play. I don't know, man. Like, where do we get the time for all this? But yeah, there's some cool stuff happening. So
It's funny. I was showing Mrs. Boom some of the pictures, see Money, Doodle, yourself, a few others that were over there, Ham Solo. I was like, oh man, she honestly was really upset with me. She goes, I don't understand how come you're not there. Why didn't you go? And I'm like, yeah, we're saving for the house and everything. She goes, next year, I don't want to hear nothing. You gotta go. You gotta hang out with the peoples. And she's right. I've been to 3 in my life, but I've never been there as a content creator. I've only been there as a fan. It is a great fan
yeah,
event. They do a lot of them. There's the big one, the PAX Prime, which is the one in Seattle. They have one in Texas as well. Obviously, for me, it's a 3-hour drive from where I am here in New Rochelle, New York, to Boston. I know the Iron Lords take the train. I don't mind
yep.
driving. I actually like it. I put on a podcast and I just go. So I think that's what I'm going to do next year for sure. I will be there next year. There is no doubt. By hook or by crook, I will be there in person.
Nice, nice,
And
nice.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So listen, as we wait for Fuzzy again, I just want to do some housekeeping here because there is no show on Friday morning. Breakfast at Boom is not. We're gonna not have the show because obviously it's Good Friday. Mrs. Boom and I are going to probably go for a nice 5-mile hike, kind of let our hair down, recharge our batteries a bit. So there's going to be only one more show past this. That's tomorrow. Me and C Money are going to be sitting down as we normally do for X Vlog Live. So why tomorrow is important? Because the other day I had announced that we're going to do an Easter giveaway. Now, at first, it was going to be just a very small giveaway, 4 $25 gift cards, totaling $100. And Mrs. Boom, she handles the finances. She says, you know what? I think we could do better, and we have to continue to pay it forward. So we are adding an additional $100 worth of giveaways. We're giving away 2 $50 gift cards along with the 4 $25 gift cards. And of course, that is to any platform of choice. Now, tomorrow's an Xbox show, and if you're an Xbox dude or dudette, you can have it. But if you're a PlayStation player and you win, by all means, we'll honor it. If you want it for Steam, we'll give it. If you want it for Switch, we'll give it. If you're outside of the Americas, we will get you the money, and we will send it only via PayPal. We will send you the money. We'll pay the transfer fee. You pay nothing. If you won, you won. And obviously, if you're outside of the States and you support the channel, we're going to support you as well. But that's not the only thing we're giving away. Thanks to Ben Kenobi's ridiculous, outrageous talent, folks, he has gifted us a bunch of special edition, one-of-a-kind Diablo 4 coins, which I'm going to put up here right now. I don't know if you can really see it. It is freaking amazing. Okay, so let me just do this. This is the back of it, right? And here is the front of it. It is in blood red. We're going to be giving away 6 of those. Those are going to go out now. Again, we don't like to do this, but we're shipping to outside of America for something even as small as this is incredibly expensive. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the digital gifts to the world, the physical gifts, which of course is a coin. 6 winners will be picked. This is I think they only produced maybe about 100 of these, give or take, and we were gifted 10 of them. We're going to give away 6 of them, and I have a few left over that we're going to use for other giveaways. I'm trying to put sets together because he's done, I think, about 6 or 7 of them. He did a Pal World, which looks dope. That's on the way. He did a Call of Duty one, which looks amazing. So I want to put some sets together. I believe his first coin that he did was based on King David's Hold the Line. And I think we have a few of those left. There it is. Yes, there it is, Hargeet. Yes, that's it. Hold up.
I don't know if it comes through or not, but yep, hold the line.
Yeah, so we're gonna start giving away those, and obviously I'm gonna do some YouTube shorts showing coins off in full HD on a turntable, so you get to take a look at them, and then we're gonna start giving away on a regular basis on the show, and we are gonna keep the physical giveaways to here in the U.S. only because it's very expensive to ship outside. So if you do win, and unfortunately you're outside of the Americas, we're gonna try and keep those prizes to here because, like I said, the shipping is it's a lot, and we're a little channel. We try to do the big giveaways, and we have a lot of them, and the shipping, we did it one year, and I think in one contest cost us $370 in shipping. That was just one contest. That's a lot of money. We'd rather give away the money than give it to FedEx or somewhere else to ship it across the world. It doesn't make any sense. But Hargeet, I want to go to you first because you have been banging this drum. Now, Phil Spencer has been out there making the rounds. He's been very chatty. He's done 2 interviews. And I have 2 stories about what he had to say. But the most interesting one comes the way of Windows Central Gaming. This was posted by Samuel Tolbert. It was published yesterday. And the lead title is Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer wants PC gaming stores, i.e. Steam, Epic Game Store. I don't know if they could get good old games on there. I think anything that has a PC store, he is going to want on Xbox. And I want to talk about that because you had come up with a theory a few weeks ago, if you remember, where you down, and I kind of want to really put this out there because I think right now in the community, like I don't respond to things that I find to be. I think people are being facetious. I think there's a lot of misconception, a misunderstanding of what Phil is doing. People are in their feelings, like they have been the last couple of weeks. I would even say a month about Microsoft, specifically Hargeet, Xbox, making changes to gaming that are necessary. Jay and I were in the chat, in the green room
Hmm.
talking, and the amount of consoles sold per generation is not increasing. It has been stagnant for years. When you
Yep.
compare all of the current platforms, now obviously a couple of generations ago that included GameCube, that included Dreamcast, that was PlayStation 2, there was a plethora of consoles. Now it has dwindled down to really just three. It's Nintendo, it's Xbox, and it's PlayStation, and they are literally selling the same consoles to the same consumers. And in this interview specifically, Phil Spencer said that we need to figure out a way as an industry, not as an Xbox platform, as an industry, to
Hmm.
not gobble up each other's way of making money, but find new ways to make that money without hurting each other, without hurting the industry. So he is very adamant about opening Xbox to Steam and to potentially good old games, and obviously the Epic Game Store.
Epic. Yep. Yep.
Maybe,
Yep.
maybe, and this is where the virtual tomatoes guys are going to come out for me. When Sony does their launcher for PC, there's a chance that that launcher could find a way to an Xbox if everything else does. So
Yep.
the next God of War that goes day and date to PC, you might actually be able to play on your Xbox. Now, some
Yep.
people in the community have lost their virtual shit over this, Hargeet. And I really want you to break it down because the way you did it a couple of weeks ago was pristine. But that's before we heard Phil Spencer actually utter the words of, we are looking to expand the current box past Xbox. Some people think it's a travesty of justice. I think, why shrink when you can grow? And I actually had people, like, if you look at the title, I said Microsoft CEO Phil Spencer wants all PC game stores on Xbox and why this is a win-win for gamers. I
Yeah.
had so many negative comments telling me, why is this good for gamers if they're making it like a PC? And like, it's a
Hmm.
PC, it's just an Xbox. So what's the
Yep.
problem? Could you break it down before we bring Jay in to get his hot take on this?
Sure. So, look, I've been predicting something like this is likely, right? And I had no inside info. This is just me guessing, right? Because if you
Yes,
have to
it was
just
a
take the
great guess, dude.
natural progression, and if people don't know, just from a technology perspective, the Xbox is essentially 60 to 70% Windows. It already is. You just don't realize it because they've obfuscated Windows. They've taken the Windowsy part of it, where you have all the dialog boxes showing up and drivers and firmwares and all that. They've obfuscated all that for you, right? Because they have
Yes.
very specific hardware. They know what they need to update. They know when they need to update it. So they handle that for you. It's all clean. You get a nice little progress bar and every monthly update, and it just updates it in the background, and you get your system, right? And the UI is very clean. You never see a Windows dialog box or anything like that, right? And that's by design. What I expected was to say, hey, look, the thing they run into is size of your install base, right? If they want to attract any one of these publishers that keep skipping them, they have to have a nice install base to say there's going to be enough players that you don't want to skip our platform. Well, they have the superpower with Windows. They already have it. They already have it. That platform is PC, right? So if you just take away that barrier and say, look, we're going to make it as close to PC as possible. Essentially, when you're making the game, you don't have to hit, Xbox as a target. You just say, I'm going to put it on PC. But when I do that, I'm going to target the Microsoft store. Once you've done that, it's now available on the console automatically. And that's what needs to happen. Then you say, well, what about performance targets? Well, I'll ask you, how many games are coming out these days that are tuned on Xbox? They're tuned on PlayStation. And they come over to Xbox and like, it's good enough. They'll use the raw grunt and it works, right? They don't
Right.
tune it anyway, right? So what's the loss here? Not much, right? Because ultimately what will happen if you have the PC version, you can change the settings.
Yes.
So you can just go in and say, hey, look, the community has figured out, set it to these 5 settings, and it will work flawlessly on your Series X2, whatever that, next Xbox is, right? But as far as getting the games, every PC game is suddenly now available to you. The next cool thing they could do is say, well, gee, it's running PC games. Why don't I just take the other stores and give you the entitlement? Either I plug the store in, which, by the way, is apparently something that's happening in Windows 11 right now, that they're making the Windows store, the Microsoft store, have the option to plug in external game stores. It's like, well, so this is all happening. It's like, so he's talking about it because they've been working on it. Apparently, they are working this in the background. And I wouldn't be surprised if Steam is one of those they're working with, because it just makes sense, right? Look, Gabe wanted to have Game Pass at some point on the Steam Deck. Then you take a look at having the equivalent of saying, hey, can I get the Steam games on the Microsoft store so that I have a UI that's my Xbox UI? So I just start up the Xbox app on my PC. This is not a bespoke piece of hardware, just my pre-built whatever PC.
Right.
And it gives me the nice Xbox UI. If people have used PC and try to do like party chat, it is atrocious.
Yes.
It's so bad what they have right now. If they can give me that Xbox UI, that's a big win right there, right? But I'm not talking about the console. The console is going to have a full-on console look. It's not going to,
it's going
you
to
will
be
not
the box
notice
underneath your TV like
Yep,
it is
it'll
currently.
look like a console.
It's just going to be shaped different. Can I
Yeah,
add
exactly.
some context to what you're saying? Because I have a quote here from Phil that literally runs parallel to exactly what you're saying. And again, this particular story that I'm reading, folks, is literally from Windows Central. Sam Tolbert is the one that wrote it. He says this is directly a quote from Phil Spencer. Consider our history as the Windows company. Nobody would blink twice if I said, hey, when you're using a PC, you get to decide the type of experience you have by picking where to buy your games. There's real value in that. He goes on to say, Spencer went on to explain that the current model of selling consoles at a loss and regaining that money through game sales is becoming less effective because component prices aren't dropping so much over the course of the console's life, while at the same time, the console market still isn't growing.
Yep. So take that to its next spot, right? And we have these bespoke hardwares that last like 7-8 years, and then they have to design it again. But look at where the market is right now, right? You got Asus ROG Ally, you got the Lenovo Legion Go, you've got the MSI Claw, you have the Aya Neo. All these different vendors are coming up with different form factors with different little twists. What if all of those were Xbox? What if they all booted up as an Xbox? You don't see Windows at all. It's just it's a gaming console after all, right? So it just boots up, comes up, looks like Xbox, plays like Xbox. It's all controller UI. There's no weird mouse and keyboardy crap stuff that comes up. It just runs like an Xbox console. But you'd want to make sure you have access to the entire library, right? And so this is what they're trying to build. And that eliminates this problem of I have to build the hardware, right? So Phil does not have to build the only Xbox hardware. They will still build hardware, just like Surface, right? They build their own, but they have partners that build a whole bunch of other ones. It takes away the headaches of saying, I'm the only one who's going to come up with the innovation. Let the industry do it, right? You get weird, cool things that people will iterate on. All you're doing is selling them the OS with a partnership saying it's got to meet these core requirements. We will work with you on the pieces of hardware that are absolutely required. And therefore we can say we guarantee backwards compatibility, right? We, all those things that we get as features, quick resume, all that, right? So it's going to have these base capabilities. We will work with you to make that happen, but it allows people to innovate. And then they can come up with cool things that people just want to have, right? So you go to another market and say like Korea or Japan and say, we don't care what you buy. Go buy the Asus ROG Ally. Have fun. Guess what you have now? An Xbox.
Have an Xbox.
So it automatically is an Xbox. The next time you buy a Dell laptop, well, the gaming part of that is just Xbox.
And there's going to be let me just clarify this, because what you're suggesting is a world that I don't think people are understanding. What Hargeet is saying in
Yeah.
principle is that your current Xbox at home, you press the power button, you go to you switch it to your HDMI 4, you see the Xbox logo come on, your home screen pops on, you pick a game, you
Same
go.
thing. Yeah.
Right. What he is suggesting and what Phil Spencer is saying that he personally wants for every device is it is going to be exactly a UI that is what you see in your console. So if you're playing on your ROG
Exactly.
Ally, you're playing on your Dell laptop, you're playing on your very expensive tablet, when you go to load up the gaming aspect, the Xbox aspect of it, it is going to load up and start like an Xbox. At that point, there is no console war. It is over at
Mhm.
that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And this is one of the outs I gave them when we were talking about the multi-platform thing, right? I was like, look, if Microsoft says to heck with putting games on other platforms, because our platform is PC, right? And we give you bespoke hardware if you will like ours. We have partners, and every time you buy one of those, we're getting money, right? Because we're giving them the OS. So we're getting money, and you're going to use the Microsoft Store for a lot of those game purchases, and we get money, right? So they're happy either way. Even if they plug in other stores, which just takes away the regulatory headaches, right? Because you don't want to be a monopoly. So you want to plug in everybody else's store. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right. So they can go ahead and do all that. This makes it so that basically that's the gaming platform. And you have to look at the future of where things are going. We are dinosaurs that keep playing on consoles.
Yeah.
Jay,
It's a reality.
didn't we just say that in the green
Yep.
room?
Right.
Like, listen,
Just
I
said
get
it.
it. I'm the old bastard in the room. I totally understand.
Future gens, they want that PC experience, right? It's like,
Yep.
you know what? Let's meet our customer there. Take advantage of the fact that we are Windows, right? That Microsoft is Windows,
Yes.
and just make it happen. Let's just merge the two, which, by the way, was what Bill Gates wanted all the way back when they were doing this to begin with, right? Was put Windows as the gaming device in the living room. That's what they're going to do, right? You won't see it. You won't notice it. Trust me, it won't matter. It will look like an Xbox Series X. It'll boot like an Xbox Series X. It's the same thing. It's just the underpinnings of it are a little bit more Windowsy in the background, right? You won't notice it, but it's there such that when you're making a game, it just happens to be targeting Windows. And it opens up the library of all those Windows games to be able to be played on your new Xbox. No, I don't think that's going to happen in this gen because I think it's kind of already baked as to what the development process is.
Yes.
I think this is a next gen play.
Yep.
Right. They could still make a handheld for this gen. It would just be like a Series S. It would just say, hey, target the performance of a Series S. That's what we're going to go with. That could be a possibility. And maybe they do release one of those this year. Maybe they say, they have a handheld. That'd be awesome. That'd be really, really cool.
There is a new code name running around that suggests that it is new hardware. And look,
yeah,
all you have to do is look at what Sarah Bond said during the business meeting. We have exciting hardware that we're going to unveil,
and that would be very, very cool. That'd be very, very cool. Right. So you just say, I'm not giving you a new SKU, guys. It's just a Series S. Put the game up for Series S and Series X. The Series S version just happens to work on this portable we're putting out, right? And you don't have to worry about it. It's the same performance characteristics, same memory, same everything. So don't worry about it, right? So you could do something like that. And in the next gen, you could play with it and make it much further. This is where I think all the cool stuff comes in, where we plug in the stores and we basically just say it's now Windows. So all you developers out there that are, you hear from Christopher Dring that developers are like, oh, why are we even bothering putting it on an Xbox? Why don't we just, we want to do the PC and the PlayStation? No problem. Just put it on PC and just target the Microsoft Store. If you don't want to target the Microsoft Store, cool. We'll just use Steam. Plug that into our store. And therefore, if you buy it on Steam, you still play it on your Xbox and we're good.
Right? That's a nice way of avoiding being skipped.
And so, you know what? Phenomenal point, Jay. Phenomenal point, because then no game skips Xbox, because if they're making these things from the ground up using PC-based hardware,
anyways, right?
You can't skip it if everything. And again, this is where Jay, and I'm going to bring you in now, Jay.
I wanted to add one point to that.
Please,
that you just mentioned is that the skipping part. Okay. And Jay, you can elaborate a bit more. There is one company that will make that happen, and that's PlayStation, with these stupid exclusivity plays where they make the developer also skip PC, which is incredibly crazy, which, by the way, they will now have to do if they want to have an exclusive, because the game will come to PC and therefore it will be coming to Xbox, right? So
Right.
it's just a new world.
And that's why I see their launcher coming into play, right? They may and well say, well, these games are, let's say Final Fantasy, are exclusive to the PlayStation console and the PC launcher. They very well could do that. I could see.
They you know what, it wouldn't surprise me because
Yeah.
Sony is shitty like that. But also here's the thing. And first of all, let's welcome in Fuzzy Belvedere joining us. How you doing, Fuzzy? Welcome.
Fuzzy, you're muted.
You're muted, brother.
Sorry for being late, guys.
Nah, stop
problem,
it.
Fuzz.
Come on, man. You guys, you and Harky just hung out with, of course, two of my favorite people in the world, Doodle and of course C Money. Happy to have you here. Listen, Jay, before we bring you in, brother, let me just catch up on some of these super chats here. First of all,
absolutely,
B Martin 001. Wow, man, he has gifted 5 Double Barrel Gaming memberships. Dude, that is crazy generous of you. Thank you, B Martin. Super appreciate the generosity, the support over the years has been nothing short of amazing. So thank you so much for that. E-Rock Math drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, what do you guys think of the possibility of the Xbox multiplat debacle being a method to appease the FTC's nonsense? It's the only reasonable excuse. I mean, money, they want to make money. But yeah, I do think that there is some back end reasoning for it. The FTC stuff is definitely it. The FTC, they knew from jump they didn't have a leg to stand on. It's almost embarrassing that they're still fighting this so-called good fight for no reason that they're ultimately going to lose. The entire world can't be wrong. But you know what? Again, no one's talking about it because, well, nobody wants to be embarrassed by the FTC, and the FTC is embarrassing themselves. But I would imagine that's going to be done with by the end of the year for sure. And it's been a big waste of time for the U.S. government and the U.S. taxpayers, which we are paying for this ridiculous lawsuit that really doesn't have any merit. Thanks so much, E-Rock. Super appreciate that. RC Polygons drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, Xbox is currently going strong right now. Season 3 for Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Warzone just got announced. 6 new multiplayer maps. Overwatch just announced their new hero, Venture. Fallout 76 just got a new update and season. Yeah, they got the Atlantic City. And speaking of Overwatch, did anyone see that new Marvel game? Holy shit. Look, I'm not an Overwatch dude. I'll be the first one to tell you, but I'm a Marvel stan, and I tell everybody I'll go to the roof and shout it. I love Marvel. And that looks dope. I would be playing that for sure. I know it's free to play. It's only on PC first, which kind of sucks because I don't play on PC. But eventually they will release it on console. It did look pretty dope though.
But if you had a Steam launcher on your Xbox.
Well, there you go. Look at that, Jay. Thank you so much for that. You're absolutely correct. Hello, Phil. I think you were right. And everyone else is just acting a fool. Real quick, Omerta War, who's been a channel member for 7 months. Sir, thank you for the generosity. He goes on to say, the only thing my Steam Deck is missing is Game Pass. Make it happen, Phil and Gabe. Yeah, I think that would be dope. I think there is a lot of stuff going on between them. Gabe he just recently even said again that he's an Xbox dude. Like, a lot of people got mad at him for that, but if that's what he likes, that's what he likes. What's wrong, people? Oh, check this out. We have JFX88 drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, if Xbox wants to take over the world with a handheld, they would give it its own service plan. Just imagine a handheld with a cell phone like service plan so you could literally play online anywhere. Man, could you imagine if the Windows Phone comes back? I mean, that would be pretty. I'd buy a Windows Phone. I didn't have an original one, but I would definitely get it now. I know Hargeet had one. I know Fuzzy had one. A lot of people had it. Jed's Corden cries himself to sleep thinking about the Windows Phone because, well, that's actually, it used to be called the Windows Phone Central or something to that effect. J-Rock, let's bring you in because there is a lot to break down here. Phil, again, being very, very chatty in the last couple of days and a couple of interviews he did with Polygon. And in the interview, let me actually pull up the okay, so I have a story that I pulled from VGC. It's running parallel to the Windows Windows Central story, but it has some different information in there, Jay. And this was written by Chris Scullion. The title of this is Phil Spencer wants other digital storefronts like Epic Games or itchy.io on Xbox. This is, again, it's getting a lot of pushback, I guess, from the purists of
Yeah.
Xbox, if there are any around still. I think that, like when you and I were talking in the green room before we went live, listen, I've said this publicly, I've said it privately, I'm gonna reiterate it for you folks right here. I'm a dinosaur. I believe that certain IPs stay on one box. I believe diluting your brand via putting certain IPs on other platforms is not a good business deal. Phil Spencer said that they were not going to make moves that were going to hurt Xbox. And I think that ultimately you would hurt Xbox and its brand if you took something like Halo and put it on PlayStation. I'm sorry. I will never sign off on that, but that's because I'm old. I get it.
Mhm.
But Jay, you made mention of something incredibly important, and that is the demographic of who matters most to Xbox, who
Now.
matters most to the EAs and the Sony, the PlayStations and the
Yep.
Nintendos. It's not the old guard. We are, yes, we spend a lot of money. Yes, we're the
Mhm.
10 percenters, if you will. But they are going after, what is it, Gen A or whatever the heck it is right now.
Gen Z, Gen A. Yeah.
Yeah, the Gen Z, Gen A, who grew up playing on tablets, who
Yep.
currently play on phones, and that is good enough for them. This new ideology, Jay, that Xbox wants to do is they want to conquer everything and everything. They want to conquer mobile. They're doing that right now with Warzone. Apparently, it's making gangbuster numbers. But
Mobile.
this,
Yeah, Warzone
yeah,
Mobile.
mobile, which is why they wanted ABK. But Jay, I want to be laser focused on this particular aspect: is taking a box that is going to load up like your current Xbox right now. And when it loads, it's going to have an Xbox screen, it's going to have an Xbox dashboard. And on that Xbox dashboard, if you are a PC parallel player who has a Steam library, that every time there's a Steam sale, you drop $40 and you get 70 games that you're never going to play. Those
Mhm.
are still your games, Jay,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But wouldn't it be pretty dope that if you just hung around Epic Game Store for the free games, had a ridiculous Steam library, and OPS, by the way, you're playing Indiana Jones and a whole bunch of other Xbox exclusives, and you can play all of that from one box underneath your TV. My question is, why does anyone have a problem with that? That sounds like the greatest world since sliced bread. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, boom. To speak about the demographic and the shift, right, and strategy here. If you remember, this past Christmas, there was a viral video going around, right? Of I
Oh, the
think he was
PS kid that wanted the PS5 kid that wanted a PC, right? That threw a tantrum.
absolutely,
Yes,
absolutely. The kid
yes,
was what,
yes.
around 13, 14 years old. He threw a tantrum because he opened up the box. He saw a PlayStation 5, a console. He said he doesn't want a console. What did he want, Boom? A PC. This is the future. That's the youth. Upset because he didn't get a PC. That's what they're growing up on. And like, I understand the old us old heads. We grew up 90s, early 2000s. That old model. Listen, that's done. That console war stuff is done. And for all intents and purposes, Nintendo won because they were the last one to bend the knee for PC. I said it. Um, right, but right now Microsoft is playing with new rules. They just wiped the board clean. They're telling you who they're focusing on: the Gen Z, the Gen A. And listen, yeah, we do spend money, but we're getting old. But we're gonna spend more money in the retirement homes. Like, nah, they gotta focus on the new generation. It is what it is.
Yep.
Hate it or love it. They got to move on as a business. They're not gonna that business of Microsoft is not gonna die with us. They're gonna continue, right? That's the whole point of it. And like Phil said, he doesn't have the luxury of being within Microsoft and not having a growing department. They need to grow. We know consoles aren't growing. The consoles they have a cap. You could say at the extreme it's 200 or 300 million consoles divided by 3. Like that's all we're doing. We're just splitting up the pie into who gets the bigger slice. But when they talk about revenue, that's coming from live service games, more microtransactions. They nickel and diming you more. They're selling you more DLCs, more remakes. That's where the money is coming from. That's where the record profits and revenue is coming from. It's not because it's really growing. They're just charging you more, and you're getting less. But for all intents and purposes, right, this new move is pretty much going to be a branded, pre-built Xbox PC, like PC, right, with a custom OS, streamlined OS, and you won't even notice. But for all intents and purposes, is a Xbox branded pre-built PC that like we said, they'll avoid being skipped by developers. They could just focus on the PC build. Like Hargy said, they just click Xbox tab or whatever. We could customize the settings, whatever we like. Probably Digital Foundry gives us recommended Xbox settings for you to run, right? That they feel is adequate for your build. And that's pretty. I think overall is a smart move. The pushback you're gonna get is the messaging. They need to nail the messaging for about this vision so people could really understand what they're doing. And I think people are really going to understand what they're doing when they demonstrate it in action. And that may come probably maybe get a preview sometime this year, according to Sarah. So I'm interested in seeing how that works out. But overall, I think it's a good strategy for them as a business in the future. Do we like it as old heads? No, but we're irrelevant to them.
I mean, I love it, but and Jay,
Right.
what if the demo is Ghost of Tsushima? Just kidding.
You're not,
demo Ghost of
Argy, you're
Tsushima?
being messy now.
Dude, that would melt the internet if that happened.
Yeah.
Hey, we want to welcome in the
Yeah,
such
yeah,
and
yeah,
such
yeah.
from the studio, blah blah blah, and then people will be like, "Oh, people would just be twitching like this." Like,
Yeah.
we don't do it themselves. It would break the world. Like
Yeah,
the
it would
world
break
would be
the
broken.
internet.
It really
It would break
would.
the
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but that'd be crazy though. But yeah, it's a smart move overall for them as a business going forward. Like the world is changing, whether we like it or not, for better or for worse. It is changing. We just got more news of another company closing down. What was it? Smilegate.
Oh wow, are they closing, dude? I didn't even hear that. I missed that.
Yeah.
Dang.
2
Wow.
years ago, they put out a tweet talking about they were hiring people. 2 years later, they're shutting down. And this is the industry that we're in. Everything is changing, man. Like Phil said, we need to make investors happy. They need to see growth. And if it's not growing, it's not showing, you got to abandon it.
You know, it's funny. I just pulled the story from BGC. As a matter of fact, Smilegate Barcelona reportedly closed and all employees let go, or every one of them. The studio was established in 2020 to work on an open world game and has now been closed.
Yep.
This is the industry as we know it. And I'm sorry to say, if you're okay with people losing their jobs, to be able to claim that your box plays only this game, then you are a small-minded person. People matter. They should matter. They always should be first. Obviously, like I said, if you look at the interview, and again, it's lengthy, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. But Phil Spencer said that obviously he had friends that he knew lost jobs. They just went to GDC, and that was the talk of the town, as it should be. There's been more employees let go in the first 60 days of 2024 than all of 2023 combined. Think about that for a second, folks.
Crazy.
That is egregious on any level possible. So when Jay says that the gaming industry, the world as we know it, is changing, listen, you're either going to have to move with us or get run over, because it's not going to, no matter how many temper tantrums this community has from all angles. And this isn't just one brand or another. This is going on for a lot of prominent people in the industry. And again, we don't name names here because we don't have to do that. You know exactly who we're talking about. And I hate to say it, it doesn't do the industry any good if you want it to be the same as it was from 10, 15, 20 years ago. That's not the same industry that we're in. And there's also a fact where $200 million games. I mean, Sony isn't going to even do that anymore. That you heard Herman Holtz say himself, we're going to have to reevaluate how we make our first party games. That's a big statement.
Yeah.
That should give you
Mhm.
some heads up of what they're going to do.
Yep.
Boom, like even the PlayStation 5 is trailing the PlayStation 4 in Europe by almost
You know
5
what?
million consoles.
Please expand on that, because we were talking about that, and I don't think a lot of people. Everyone's like, "Oh, PlayStation 5, greatest console since sliced bread." No, folks, it's trailing the PS4 in Europe.
By
Christopher
almost 5
Drake didn't
million
mention
units.
that,
Yeah.
did he? No, he did not. He just said that publishers don't want to release on Xbox because why bother? Money. That's the stupid. Again, who did he talk to? A publisher, which is a studio of 10 people that publish their own game. Is that who he spoke to, or did he speak to Zelnick of 2K, or did he speak to the head honcho of EA saying, "Oh, no, that Xbox, it's a waste of time." So when you don't have substance to back up your lies, this is why you stutter. This is why you try to do what he did during the interview. Push so much information out there that we couldn't understand what he was talking about. That's because it's all lies, and that's unfortunate. I learned to not listen to that man 2 years ago. He's been put on the pain of mind list, as you should put him there as well.
But look, once it goes to PC, that whole thing goes away, right? So we don't have to worry about it.
It absolutely
So-
does, because again, if you're releasing on PC and your Xbox or your Nextbox, if you will, can play the Epic Game Store, can play Steam, can play GOG or Good Old
You're
Games.
good to go.
Nothing misses your console, and whether it has achievements or it doesn't, you can still play the game by simply pressing an A button and on that app. And I think
if they plug in, it might give you your achievements on both.
interesting.
But I introduced this one, Boom, in the C Monies, and this is an interesting topic everybody can discuss, and I'll come back to it. But what happens to Game Pass? Because right now we have Ultimate that includes Gold, what was Gold, or Core, right? Which is online. You have to pay for online. PC, they don't pay for online. So what does that look like going forward? How do they entice people with their Game Pass offering? Just something to start discussing.
Well, here's an interesting theory, and I do want to bring in Fuzzy, and get your take on this. But this is an interesting theory. What if, now you said that PC gamers don't pay to play online? They don't, right? That's a fact. Which is why a lot of PC players play there. They don't have there is no monthly or yearly fee. They just play, right? What if Xbox bucks the industry standard and says, when you have Xbox Game Pass, and you're getting the games, the online is free moving forward. Like they would destroy PlayStation. They would destroy them where they stood, because they own Call of Duty, and if you don't think people would move over to Xbox, not have to pay online when they have to pay online for everything on Sony, even cloud saves you have to pay for, they would destroy Sony where they stood. But I don't know, Argy. That's a phenomenal question. I don't know where they go. I know that they want Game Pass to continue to grow. They're continuing to grow. It's got 34 million subscribers now. I would imagine when you start to see the Hellblades and the Avowed and Indiana Jones, and more specifically Call of Duty in Game Pass, you're going to see a jump in numbers, because people are going to want to play a new Call of Duty for $16.99 a month.
Yeah, on PC though, you would just pay 10, right? Because 10 includes EA and
Yes,
gives you
does.
everything you need, right? So to entice you to go to the higher, I agree with you. I think they get rid of the paywall, no more paywall for online play, and instead they entice you with things like, we include Ubisoft Plus, we include EA
Yes.
Play Pro.
Yep.
Right, because now you've got like almost all the big publishers, you just get their games day and date, right? That's a pretty big deal, and that would be worth the 17, right? Because then you got all those games day and date. So
And all the DLC.
that might be the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So just, I don't know. It's just an interesting thought as to what happens with that specific thing.
If they bundle the other day and date subscription service, how much are you willing to pay? Like the top, I would even say 30. If I'm
You get
able to
everything
get
day and date that you're not no longer
bundled,
buying
yeah,
games, dude. Yeah.
EA, and Ubisoft titles, day and date.
I mean, I'd say make it 20 and you include all of that. Because EA Play, I think it's what, 15?
It's 15 bucks.
EA Play
Yeah.
Pro. And
Yeah.
then Ubisoft also is 15.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an extra $30 worth of value. But you also are looking at a much larger install base, a customer base right now, right? There's about 20 million subscribers of Ultimate right now. So versus, I think those things maybe have a few million subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
So you could cut it back and say, hey, maybe at $20 or even at the current $17, the economics work out, right? So they just have to play the numbers. But yeah, that's just something to think about. Like the other thing you do get is cloud, right? xCloud.
Yeah.
But I don't know if people would actually pay the extra $7 for xCloud.
It depends. It depends on how good it is, because it's still lagging behind GeForce Now
Yep.
by leaps and bounds, right? So if you want that extra $7, it would have to be as good or run better. And GeForce Now runs phenomenal, no matter where you are. So they'd have to do that. Fuzzy, listen, let me bring you in on this hot take here. I'm interested to get your opinion, but we have to thank the Elemental Hero, the Shadow Link. I think it's Dragon. I think that's what it is. It's so long that the star is covering it. Elemental Hero, thanks so much for being here, brother. And thank you so much for being a channel member. He says, what about physical media? It's is still needed. Yeah, it is. It is. We seen digital have so many problems, or anything goes wrong while physical can still counter the digital. I think that there is a place for physical. I really do. I still have physical. I mean, all of my PlayStation 5 stuff I buy physical, because if I want to sell it, I can. All my Switch stuff is all physical. I very rarely get anything digital. Everything Xbox is pretty much digital unless it's a collector's edition.
But does Gen Z and Gen A even care about those things? That's
They
the
do
question I
not.
need to ask.
They don't want to carry games. They don't want to carry cases. They want to
What?
pick up and
No,
play.
no more binders full of CDs.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Remember that, dude? Like
It's an
still
interesting
have
thing, right, Jay? Like if you look at why we're like this, it's probably because when we grew up, I'm old enough, Boom, you and I, we're in that
Yeah.
age range where we didn't have home video. You had to
Mhm.
watch it when it came out on TV,
Yeah,
or you
Yes.
had to watch it in the theater. You didn't have home video.
Hey,
And then
listen,
they released VHS, and we're like, oh, I can buy this movie. Holy crap. I can watch it as much as I want. Right? That
Yeah.
was mind blowing, right? But the quality sucked. It was like,
Terrible.
this is so great. I get to watch this over and over
but
again.
Hargy is not only like media in terms of like it's like even the comic book industry is suffering because people just rather read the comic books on their phone.
Online?
Yep.
Yeah.
Same
And
thing for
the
manga.
reason I'm bringing it up is we grew up with the quality increases, right?
Yes.
Same thing with gaming. It started with Atari, right? We had the arcades, then Atari, and the graphics were like terrible, but like I can play at home. This is awesome. And then we got to the point where like Nintendo came out. You're like, this is crazy. What is
Yeah.
it? And it just kept getting better. And we grew up with that, saying, "Oh, I want to see what the next leap is." Right? I want to see what DVD does. I want to see what
Yeah.
Blu-ray does. Right? We grew up with that, but they're like, I already have all that. I don't care. I just want to play something. I just want to watch something. I want to watch it on my little 5-inch screen. So I don't need it to be that good. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
It's a totally different mindset, right? We
And
grew up saying, "No, I want the high graphics."
That's what I was telling Boom and backstage, right? It's like a lot of old heads were thinking, or even Blockbuster themselves. Everybody loved the experience of going to Blockbuster with their kids and picking out a movie and getting the popcorn right before you check out, and that whole experience, right?
Yeah,
so
dude.
A lot of people believe, no. First of all, you get better quality via the DVDs, right, than you do via streaming or the Blu-ray, right? You're getting better audio.
Yeah.
You get the experience of going to Blockbuster with your kids and picking out the movie, going down the aisles.
And now it's Netflix,
and they were
I'll just watch
banking
that.
on people wanting that over the comfort of just click, stream, click, stream, click, stream. No late fees. No. And that
It's a
just
different
wasn't the
world,
case.
right?
And same thing for
Convenience.
MP3s, right? You had the diehards that were going around with their CD cases. I was one of them, right?
Yep.
A binder full of CDs
Yep.
Remember those CD changers?
You had Jay-Z, Ludacris, Mobb Deep.
The CD changers. Remember those CD changers?
Yeah.
You just had a
Shuffle
binder
all.
full of CDs. Yep, that's right. I remember on a school trip, I brought my binder. I was just big pun. Whoop, whoop, DMX. Whoop, whoop. Just, hey.
Good stuff.
And the MP3 people was like, yeah, I'd rather have 200 songs on my little MP3 player. It was like, yeah, but the quality sucks. Like, compared to CDs, like, that's the purest. But what won out? Convenience and comfort.
Yep.
The same thing, like the old heads are saying, but I still want physical. But everybody's telling you, well, we're not focusing on you anymore. We're focusing on Gen Z and Gen A. They don't care about that. It is what it is.
They play where they play. It's on their phone, on their tablet, on the refrigerator. They're playing and they don't care.
Yep.
Well, the big drawback is, like, if you look at PC, that physical went away a long time ago, and they started just doing, like, digital codes in a box kind of thing. So you would still get your TurboTax in the store, but then people realize, I could just go to the website and download it. So that kind of killed that. But the big thing that we need to start focusing on, because we've kind of lost that physical battle. It's already on the way of just being like, limited run stuff. We need to focus on digital ownership rights. Like I know whenever you hear that, people think NFTs or whatever, but I want to be able to, and not to sound morbid, I want to be able to pass my games on to my kids.
100%.
I know I'm not going to be here forever. So I got 1,200 games between all the systems. They're already playing the ones now that I'm doing on the family Steam share, and they've been game sharing with me for years. But when I go per the user agreement, if they log into my account, that's against the rules, and all of that stuff can disappear if Microsoft decides that they don't want somebody accessing my account. But we need to figure out a way to either get our governments or the actual companies to say, hey, you bought this, it is yours. You have this digital copy, as long as you keep a backup, because if we delist it from the store, your backup needs to have a backup just in case. But at least at that point, that it's not going to magically disappear from the store. And then you, like with the WB movies and things like that, did on PlayStation Store and stuff. So
ridiculous.
But
or was it Crunchyroll? I think that was the one, right? That Sony owned. They just shut it down, and you lost everything you had.
Yeah,
that was one of them. Yeah, that happened.
Or was it Funimation? It's one of those two, right? It was Funimation.
It was. It definitely was one of those. But also WB. Delisted some stuff that even if you bought it, it wasn't yours because a PlayStation didn't want to pay the fee. So if you bought those movies, tough titty.
Then I think they worked it out, right at the last minute. I think they worked it out.
It was supposed to be
so
for
it never
36 months,
away, but the other one did
30 months. Because WB was pissed off that Sony didn't want to pay up, so they cut 6 months off the deal.
Wow.
Hey, I mean, that's the way it is, like.
Yeah. So listen, Fuzzy, let's bring you in. But before we do, Roshan Impenger, who's been a channel member for 5 months. Thank you so much for the generosity. They go on to say 24 handhelds, 26 new consoles, 28 handhelds, 32 new consoles, and repeat. More frequent console iterations. I mean, that's going to happen. I mean, the point is that they are losing money almost on every console they sell when your new generation starts, right? And they have to figure out a way to make those parts cheaper, build those new consoles, and they do iterations, right? So
this may be the last one, and then they just use partners, right? So, I don't know what happens, going forward, but I would highly expect that they would partner with a lot of other partners of theirs like Dell and Asus and Lenovo and those folks to make different types of devices. And so if you wanted to get a $3,000 souped out everything max capability, but Xbox console, like literally the same thing, Xbox console, they can partner and make that happen, right? And then next one comes out like 3-4 years later, just do the same thing, right? Because there's gonna be people like me that will go buy it.
Yes.
Right? There's going to be people out there who are like, no, I want to spend $400. Fair enough. Spend $400. No problem. Right. But there are going to be people that are like, I'll spend $1,500 and you can guarantee me 60 FPS and everything. Cool. I'll do that. Right
now.
Or I'll spend $2,000 and I get path tracing on everything. Oh, cool. I'll do that. Sure. right? And that's how they're gonna have to sell it. What capability are you bringing to the table, right? And that's how it's going to change. It could be portable, or it could be an actual console sitting under the TV, right? But I think this is going to be very exciting. I think anyway.
It is very exciting because everything it's going to be still an Xbox. That's the exciting part of it. Fuzzy, I want to bring you in because as you saw on social media, there are once again a lot of people losing their shit over the fact that there could be an Xbox, and there's probably going to be an Xbox that launches next gen, potentially in 2026, that is going to have from inception the Epic Game Store, Steam, good old games. And again, we don't know when the PlayStation launcher, but at some point, is Sony going to leave potentially 70% on the table if they can sell someone that will never buy a PlayStation to play a game? Maybe it's one game, maybe it's two games, maybe it's 10 games. I honestly don't know. But if you didn't have to buy a PlayStation to have the PC launcher to play Ghost of Tsushima 2, would you play it on your Xbox? You're damn right you would. And I think that this is something, again, Microsoft and Xbox are pushing the industry forward, and it's kicking and screaming the same way they did with Game Pass, that everyone said was no good, that was unsustainable, that wasn't making profit. They're not going to get consumers that want. Nobody wants to rent their games. Welfare pass. We've heard it all, and it's all egregious and it's all nonsense. And here we are looking at a potential world where your next Xbox is going to have the ability, and this is what I was telling before you got here, Hargeet and J-Rock. Just imagine you are a Steam gamer, and every time there's a Steam sale, you spend $40 and you get 75 games that you know that you're never going to play, but you go and you buy them anyway because, well, they're $1, they're $2, they're $5. And then, of course, there are a lot of cheapos in this industry, right? You know, everyone wants something. You know, if it's free, I'll take 3. You ever heard that? Well, there are a lot of people like that, right? Whenever there's this free game or free games on the Epic Game Store, MFers are out there. I'm talking about Steam. Epic Game Store is the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? So they go and they get their free games, and they keep building this library that they're never going to play, but it's their games. It was given to them. Just think about this, folks. Where is the pushback? Where is the negative theories about you being able to play from the Epic Game Store with all of your games, from Steam with all of your games, and all of the Xbox Game Pass stuff? Isn't more better? I don't know.
Yeah.
So where is the pushback, Fuzzy?
I don't know where the pushback is coming from, but for me, I look at it as Xbox has a preview program, which is pretty cool as far as you'll get some early access games in there. And a lot of times our feedback helps build that game up to what it is at launch type of thing, whether it's games like Grounded or games like Power World. Having it in early access definitely helps. Well, Steam is the king of early access, and there have been a lot of games that people would love to play on console that ain't ever coming any other way, like your Ready or Nots. I mean, Undisputed, it's basically Fight Night, but by a smaller team, and it's pretty good. They're eventually going to come to console, but it's going to be a while before it does. But hey, if you have this Steam app on your Xbox, you have access to it already if you purchased it on Steam. Things like what is it? Ground Branch, 6 Days of Fallujah. I mean, if you're a first-person shooter or even a third-person shooter type of person, you're probably going to want to have that Steam app to at least test these games out before they officially come to console. And a lot of them, believe it or not, have controller support. Very few of them are just, mouse and keyboard only type of deal. So it wouldn't be too far of a stretch. Now, I know they're probably not going to put every store that's out there on there because, like, was it Battle State only has one game, but it's a pretty big game called Escape from Tarkov. If that was in the store, I think that would be like an eye-opening event for a lot of people on Xbox. Like Stalker 2 is kind of that, but with anomalies and paranormal activity type of stuff. But just make it where it's more real-world stuff. Take the paranormal out. That's what Escape from Tarkov is. And it's not a single player, it's a multiplayer game. So there's like endless possibilities on the benefit as an Xbox gamer. You buy their console, whether it be a handheld or one that just sits under the TV type of deal, or one that's dockable, you're going to be able to have access to either games you've already purchased or get to try out some games that you would probably have to normally wait 2, maybe 3 years before they come to console because they're in early access. Now, I'm not saying you have to, be excited just for all the early access, because there's a few duds that come in there as well, like the day after or the day before or whatever that scam was. But for the most part, Steam has been pretty good as far as when it comes to refunds, just like with Xbox. I know PlayStation is not the best for refunding it once you download the game, but that's a whole nother story. But I think in the grand scheme of things, whether we want to admit it or not, in the next 20 years, these boxes are going to be more so apps, and you're going to have like, custom built, by third party devices to play them on, or maybe the TV will be more powerful enough, or maybe the controllers will have enough hardware in them to be able to work with the TV. But I just look at it as like when Steam Deck first came out, even Gabe himself said he's willing to work with third parties as far as having like a private label Steam Deck. And considering how Xbox had the B&O headset, I was surprised that they never did a design for Xbox Steam Deck where it has Game Pass already installed on it. Now, I know you can do the whole Edge browser workaround, which I've already done on mine, and it works great on great internet. Hotel internet, not so much, but unless you pay for like some of the hotels, you can pay like the extra 5 or 15 or whatever for it. But having that portable and having access to not just your Xbox library, but also a Steam library, or your free games that everybody collects over at Epic, or GOG, where you don't have to worry about DRM in a lot of the PC games. And a lot of people will buy the games at GOG and then port them over to Steam for they like the, I guess, the layout or the software that's running on like the Steam Deck or the big picture mode to some extent. But yeah, I can't really see any negatives. And sure, if you're already a PC guy, this is probably not for you. If you're a console guy that's also on PC or a mixture of both, this is probably going to be your next best bet, because if you look at the Series S was already more powerful than the Steam Deck was. It's just the drawback being that it's more powerful using more power, meaning less battery life. But if they can get it figured out, which there's been a few videos, a couple of people have been talking about, and there have been people in our community that are tech heads bigger than I am that have been talking about how they can have something like a Series S as a portable and just, not really underclock it, but, dial it back just a bit and then run it at 720p when it's in handheld mode, and have 3 or 4 hour battery life and still have visuals that are on par with Steam Deck, if not better. And then either run like the 40 frames or with the like the 90 hertz screen, or do a full 60 with 60 hertz or a full 60 with 120 hertz and do that on a portable. Because since you're below the 1080p, there's not as much draw on the CPU or that built-in GPU on the APU that it's going to make it, drain the battery as much, especially if they use an OLED screen, which, see with Steam Deck, it actually, helps the battery life. But yeah, there's, I guess the only downside would be if you're like a console only person, in particular, just like a PlayStation console warrior at this point, you don't have anything really to counter this being a bad idea, other than potentially because some of your games are in Steam. And I know me and Hargi had talked about this on another podcast where they could come in and block it, but I can't imagine with somebody like Hiroki Totoki now really leaving money on the table, saying no to money. If it's on Steam and you already bought Spider-Man 2, or not Spider-Man 2, but like Spider-Man Remastered, like I bought for my son because they don't want a PlayStation. They just want 1 or 2 of the games. I could actually have, like, if Steam app is on Xbox, I would actually be able to access that, unless they, block it and, say no. And they could do that, but I think that would be shooting themselves in the foot kind of thing in the grand scheme of things, considering they're probably going to be more day and date sooner rather than later. And yeah, I know Helldivers 2 was a games as a service, and they already said they'll do that for games as a service, which why didn't they do that for Foam Stars? Nobody knows. But I think at some point they're going to realize while you're advertising for the console game, you might as well release it on PC, because that's when people on PC are going to hear about it, be excited about it, and probably purchase it. And if Helldivers 2 is a inclination of what the PC crowd is like, you're already outnumbered. Was it 8-2 or something like that, or
Yeah.
or 4-1 when it comes to sales numbers on PC versus on PlayStation? I don't think they want to say no to that kind of money, but I could be wrong.
It's an interesting theory, because at this point, isn't Sony also hurting for money? I know that they took a $10 billion hit on their stock price 4 Mondays ago because they didn't hit the sales the sales numbers for PS5, right? GDC just finished, and again, we're not talking about it specifically here. Tomorrow, me and C Money are going to go in on it, because I had pulled multiple stories that were actually PlayStation sites that ran it, but developers are saying, why do we need a PlayStation 5 Pro when we haven't even tapped the power of the PlayStation 5? So if this is going to be a $600 box, which is probably going to be a $600 box, that's going to have the same CPU, do you think anyone's going to buy it? Well, yeah, the 10%ers are going to buy it.
10%ers, yeah.
I'm not going to buy it. I have a PlayStation 5 with an awesome Spider-Man skin and the controller to match. I the plates, I'm good. I don't need another PlayStation 5 Pro. How are you going to know if you're a Pro purchaser if it's any good? Sony told you so? Because there's no games coming out for it to show you, hey, listen, look what this does. Oh my God, this butters my bread. Wow, holy cow, this is great.
I mean, it might have some visual upgrades. The problem is it's very hard to tell these days. Games look so stunning as it is.
They do. Yeah.
That's like, you're really not going to know until you don't show me like path tracing or something, because that is the next visual leap. It's going to be very hard to tell. They don't have a lot of CPU oomph here. It's the same CPU. So you're not getting more frames. You're only going to be able to cut back your res, and then maybe you have more frames because you've cut back your res. Right. But I don't know. I don't know, man.
Yeah, also, will devs even bother to take advantage?
They won't. They won't. Right? Look, the One X was awesome on the companies that had the resources to take advantage of it, but was it substantially better from PS4 Pro to One X during the last gen? Not really. And if you started to look at did that make any difference for Xbox? No, it did nothing for them.
And if you say, well, the first party could take advantage of it, well, then give me your first party roadmap.
Yeah, that is a problem. It is. It's a problem. And in the interim, within 2 years of that, assuming the PS5 Pro comes out this holiday, which that's the assumption,
which is what they're suggesting, right?
Right. Within 2 years, you're going to have next gen for Switch and for Xbox, right? And the Switch will probably not outdo the Pro, obviously, right? But the next Xbox likely will. And if they go down this path and say, sky's the limit, hey, you want to spend $1,500? You can get an Xbox that runs everything with everything. Go for it. Yeah. We're happy, right? So it's going to be interesting to say, well, what does this mean? PlayStation, by the way, their architecture makes it very hard to do what Xbox is doing. Xbox does everything in software. PlayStation does everything in hardware. So when they would do back compat, they shut down parts of the PlayStation CPU and GPU, and that's how they give you that back compat. That's not going to scale to this kind of thing. I don't know where they go, to be very honest. We'll see what they do with it, right? The streaming is a potential. I don't know how many people want to do that. Maybe some do, but I think they're going to have more of a difficult time trying to convince people to buy a PlayStation. To be honest, I'm just looking at the next gen and saying, next gen PC is going to be the thing. It's just going to be. And if that's what they're doing, they've already won that. That's already several 100 million players. It's easy. They've already won that, right? Nintendo's got a Nintendo.
Yeah, that's what.
What's your plan for PlayStation? So when King used to say no PlayStation 6, I was just saying that's crazy. And now I'm sitting there going, Maybe he's right. I don't know what the point of a PS6 is. Like, what are they gonna do with it?
Well, going
They're
back to
better off just
Nintendo,
putting it
right,
on
Huggy?
PC.
I see people bringing them up. Well, why isn't Nintendo pivoting? Because they don't have to.
They
To
don't
be
They
have
don't
quite
to,
have
frank,
to.
dude.
They don't have to.
Nintendo has positioned themselves in a way that they will always get the new generation of gamers.
Yep. And exactly, it's the kids, right?
It's
And
the
you can
kids,
guarantee they're gonna make
and
sure that
and when
console
the kids grow up
works.
and they have their own kids, which is the console they buy for their kids?
Nintendo.
The Nintendo.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
So they
It's
always
the
have a new
Nintendo.
generation.
Right? And their games are geared towards it, and you can guarantee that console will not go in the direction where it will be easy for them to A, go online and be harassed, and B, see stuff they shouldn't, right?
Yes.
Right.
They're just designed to be that way. Like, we complain that they don't have good online. That's on purpose. They don't want kids to be able to do that kind of stuff because parents don't want that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just designed that way. It's perfect for kids. You lock it down, give it to them, and say, "Have fun." Right? Play your Mario Kart, and that's all I want you to do.
Yep.
There's gonna be a market for that.
I mean, and again, I don't know who said it. Nintendo is going to Nintendo. That's just who they are. What they've done for
Okay.
years. I mean, it is what it is. Listen, we got almost 800 people watching live. That is across multiple platforms where we send this. We send it to Facebook. Nobody watches it there, but I do send it, of course, to YouTube and Twitter. So, of course, shout out to everyone, the near 800 people that are here. Please, if you have the ability to, hit the like button. If you're finding the channel for the first time, for the love of Joe, please consider subscribing. We're on the hunt for 15,000 subscribers. Hopefully, we can hit that number by the end of the year. That would be a pretty big deal for us. We're still a very small channel, and we're doing it the grassroots way, which is, of course, in my opinion, the right way. We don't sell out. We don't clickbait you. We don't hate monger or use hate rhetoric to get you in. We don't. We have fun here. We have a lot of laughs. I want to continue. I want to pivot to this portable, and I'll go first here to J Rock. J Rock, this portable is sounding like everything I could possibly want. Because again, I'm a plug and play guy, kind of a guy, right? I had a Steam Deck, I sold it. I have a ROG Ally, I barely use it. Not because I don't know how to use it. It's very PC. I'm not a PC guy. I've never been a PC guy. The last time I gamed on PC was called the Commodore 64. That is how long ago I gamed on PC. It's just never been my thing. I'm a console guy. I always have been. Jay, this console, this handheld is something that not only do we, the diehards, want. I think that this is what people are really looking for, especially that demographic that we were just talking about, because a younger generation would probably game on an Xbox handheld.
Yep.
Especially if you could play games like Indiana Jones. Again, they'll play their Fortnites, their Apex Legends, their Call of Duties. All of that stuff will play and it'll work just fine. But what I loved about the interview with Polygon with Phil Spencer is the way he was talking. And again, I say this all the time. Phil is the CEO of Microsoft Gaming. He is a C-level executive. He makes a lot of really big decisions. But when you hear him talk, Jay, he sounds like one of us because he's a gamer at his core, right? And he said that what's missing for him in all of these things that are available, and he has access to all of them, right?
Yeah.
Because it makes a lot of money. And I'm sure that, they give him a lot of stuff from these companies because they want the head of Microsoft Gaming using their stuff. Makes sense, right? The one thing he said that's missing is just being able to play an Xbox, turning on the console, getting a UI to pop up with it with an Xbox, console level experience, and he wants that. And if the head of Microsoft Gaming wants that, it's safe to say that we're going to get it. The question is when. Now, again, bringing it back to the business meeting, Jay, Sarah Bond said that we were going to get some new hardware information this fall. Is that the handheld? I don't know, but we do have a code name flying around. I have the code name here. I shared this post with me. Okay, so the name of the person that put this out there, again, this is a collab, if you will. Originally, Walking Cat is the one that broke the story of this new Xbox code name, and who added context to it. Jay was a user on X called Gary uh, uh, Golam, Golomb. Now, who are these people? Well, Carrie has nearly 12,000 followers. I don't follow him. I'm following him now. I didn't know who he was. And what he put out there was pretty interesting. The context that he added to this was FYI, the code names for the Xbox Series X and Series S refreshes for Brooklyn and Elwood. Roseway is the new code name. So is that the Xbox handheld? Pretty interesting. So the code name is Roseway. What do you want from your handheld, man? Reading the interview with Phil, does what he's putting down you buying?
Absolutely. This is what I've been asking for. Is just a handheld. That's an Xbox, pretty much. As soon as I turn it on, you get the little chime, welcome, and that's it. You're ready to go and play, right? But it'll just give you the option of launching other storefronts, possibly, And I think that's the best thing for the future right now. Like, build a PC. When you want max out all your games in a handheld. I think that's the perfect combination. Instead of two SKUs of one powerful console and a lesser powerful one, I think it's better to have you guys could build a PC option, or we're gonna have a pre-built Xbox PC option and a handheld option for you on the go. I think that's a perfect solution, especially for the old heads and the new generation. That's one way they can merge both.
Yeah, sorry about that, Jay. I just have to wait for a hot second. Look, it's, to me, I'm right there with you. It's exactly what I want. It's plug and play. It's the kind that you were talking about. You start screen, you play. Now, I don't know if this hardware sets off what the new hardware in 2026 is going to be with these available stores. It would be pretty dope if they were, especially in a handheld. But I'm perfectly okay with just a Xbox handheld. Like, the one thing missing from all of these wonderful toys that we have at our disposal, whether it's the Lenovo, whether it's the Steam Deck, whether it's the ROG Ally, all great pieces of tech. The big problem, and he actually mentioned this, is not being able to play the games that I own. Yes,
right. Yeah.
You can play everything in Game Pass, both on PC and on console. Great. But what if you want to play something that's not on there? You don't have the ability to do that. Your games library is stuck on console. That is where this thing needs to live, where it's basically a console in your hand. All of your games are there. Native is the key, not cloud-based. It's got to be, because again, I've used the PlayStation Portal. The screen is impressive. It's very light, though.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of the controller setup. Yes, it's a DualSense cut in half. Great. I don't really like it, but my biggest problem is that it's very light. There's no onboard anything. And this new handheld that we know is going to be native, because Jez Corn of Windows Central said so, in a cryptic tweet that he does. This is what I want. This is what Jay wants. But the question we have here, Hargeet, is, what do you want? But before I get there, let me just catch up on Super Chats. There's been quite a few of them. We have a generous friend of the program known as Highlander 001. He once again drops a very generous $5 Super Chat and says, I hate to tell console players that those of us on PC have not had physical media for years. PCs don't even come with an optical drive, and that hasn't happened in years. It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's what it's funny because not this Alienware because Mrs. Boom is rocking a 4060 in her current Alienware, and she doesn't even use it for that. I just got all the bells and whistles for her. Her last one, when we were looking, we were like, they don't make drives anymore. Like this is the so we had to buy one you plug in and we use it that way. That's exactly what Hargeet just showed. Yeah, PC hasn't had. I think the last physical game someone actually said in one of the live streams that we had was, I think, the reboot of Doom might have been like the last one that was actual physical game on PC. How long
Doom
ago was
2016.
that? There you go.
Doom 2016. It was a limited run.
There you go. Dr. Dry Rub drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, if Microsoft makes no money selling consoles, how does having more storefronts help them make money? Well, here's the thing. Everything is going to be a console. That's the whole point of this conversation. It doesn't matter whether it's a physical console, whether it's a handheld, whether it's a tablet, whether it's your phone. There's going to be an Xbox UI that boots up like your console. Having all of these stores, well, why it's a win-win for everybody? Because first and foremost, and anyone should think like this, as a consumer, it's a win for you because you have a plethora of games at your disposal from multiple stores. But something like, for instance, Steam, you don't think Steam wants a piece of the console market? They would get 70%, right? Microsoft would get the 30%, and both people would be making money. I don't see how that's a bad thing, and why that wouldn't be any growth there. They're not selling consoles one-to-one to PlayStation, but PlayStation, by the way, especially in Europe, where, according to Christopher Dring, is curb stomping Xbox. They can't sell a console. They can't give them away. But they're not either. They're down 5 million plus units for the same amount of time out for the PlayStation 4 versus the PlayStation 5. So no one wants to talk about the PlayStation 5 not doing as well because they already have 50 plus million consoles.
And development costs have skyrocketed, Boom, but your consoles aren't selling at the same rate as they were before. So what do you do?
And again, maybe you some people might take this as me being a little console worry. It wasn't Xbox or Microsoft that took a $10 billion hit to their stock price. Oh, that was Sony. That's right. That happened. And that wasn't the first time either. They took a big $1 billion hit when the ABK deal went there. So they're bleeding money at Sony. And the problem with Sony and its gamers, you find folks don't buy their games. You just don't. That is a fact.
Yeah, I mean, this was a play to save the industry, right? This was not Xbox is profitable. They're okay.
Yes,
because they have massive live games.
They've paused production on PlayStation VR as well.
Yeah, yes, yeah, that's right.
This is a play to save the industry. It was not about. So that's what he's trying to do here, right? So they will probably take a hit, but they're trying to make it so that games are everywhere, so that publishers get the money, so they don't have to shut down or lay off people. That was the whole point of this, right?
Yeah. I mean, and it's a fact. Listen, I mean, again, they're selling a great amount of consoles, but they haven't beaten the PlayStation 4 yet, and they're behind everywhere. Not just in Europe. They're behind everywhere. You know, it's they need to do something. They can't be the same Sony that they've continued to be. They need to evolve, and unfortunately, what you saw with what's been going on with them. Closing of studios, laying off of tons and tons of people, projects being shut down, good projects, no less, being shut down altogether. That's because they are the old guard, and they are now suffering because of old ideologies. And Microsoft is going to be in third place by the end of this year. There's no doubt about it, no matter what games they release. But you know what's interesting? When you look at how much money they made, they'll be number one. And I think ultimately that is what matters.
Right.
Highlander
that's what matters to the investors, Boom.
Well, it should be. I mean, if you're an investor, you don't care about console wars. You want to line your bank account. That's what matters
to their shareholders.
Exactly. Good stuff, Jay, as always. Highlander Double One drops a very generous additional $2 super chat and says Sony is selling insurance divisions in Japan. Do they have? I think do they have an insurance company? I think that they do.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
They're selling their insurance division. All right.
Yes, that's not good. So Sony is selling their insurance division in Japan. I thought they were selling insurance. Oh no, dude, that's not good.
Yeah.
They're trying to
What
cut
was it?
costs.
Health insurance? What they selling?
I don't know. I'm
Good
gonna
question.
Highlander,
I
I'm
don't
gonna
think it
have
would
to
be
look.
health insurance. It would
We're
probably
gonna
be
have to
something
look
else, right?
insurance?
I'm gonna have to look into that horseshoe insurance.
Yeah.
Oh God, Jay, I can't believe that.
Wow.
So that's a good one.
That's good.
Quick gameplay. Welcome to the channel, brother. I've never seen that name before, and it's glad to have you here. Thank you for the generosity. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says Hargeet is right about PlayStation 6. Xbox will be the default PC console. My guess is that the next generation console will be announced in December. Interesting. That would be pretty dope if it was. And do they do that at the Game Awards? Ooh. Take over the Game
Yeah,
Awards
I
once
think that's what he
again.
meant by December.
Yep.
It will be at the TGA. So this June showcase will be whatever hardware they're releasing this fall.
Yep.
Which may be a portable, right? It might be a this gen portable. And then that's probably when they'll go in the TGAs just to get the eyeballs on it. Hey, just like they did with Series X.
Yep.
Here's our next gen coming in 2026.
That would, man, I get a lot of people excited, and we'll take over the VGAs once again. DJ Birdo DOS drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, for the love of Joe, Boom, accept this 10. And for the love of Joe, slap that like button, people. That's very kind of you, bro. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. I've been saying that for years, for the love of Joe. My nephew even says it now. I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? JD Gamer. Hey, JD, welcome back, brother. Nice to see you here. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, when you control the context, and Xbox will, and you control the method of delivery, you win. Xbox will be acquiring more publishers, and those will be big. Yeah, absolutely. I think that when you can literally say anything is an Xbox, there is no worry of egregious behavior of locking a group of gamers away from playing a said game. And I think that's what they're trying to do. And ultimately, when you move that way and you open up your ability to play anywhere, there is no risk of people being boxed out, right? And that gives them I don't say it's going to be a free pass, but it's going to give them the ability to potentially buy other publishers. Hargeet, let's go to you, man. What? Obviously, you have. I don't know what of the current handhelds you currently have. I have the ROG. Whatever you're rolling with, it's not an Xbox. What is your ideal Xbox? Was it what Phil Spencer was talking about?
So that has been my major complaint. I have the ROG, and the Windows part of it is what makes the experience so crap.
Yes.
It's just not. It's not conducive to being a console. It brings up all the Windowsy annoyance of dialog boxes and firmware updates and everything you have to do yourself. And when you have a dinky ass screen and you have to see desktop fonts, it's just not that great. So, one thing I did get, and I think I've shown this before, is the X-Real, so the AR glasses. So these basically project a nice 100-inch-ish screen in front of you, and they hook up to your a ROG Ally, and it becomes your screen, right? So that way you can at least see what the heck is going on when you're in Windows. But it's still problematic in the fact that this those things have a touchscreen, so you now have to have a trackpad and a mouse, a keyboard, right, separate of the touch panel that's there, because you're not seeing the screen anymore because it's on here. It just becomes so screwy. So those are the things that need to get fixed, right? It needs to have a controller interface. It needs to never come up with weird dialog boxes, right, or things that you have to deal with a mouse. That can't happen. It's got to work like a normal console. That may be challenging, but that's the thing they're going to have to deal with as they move forward with this, right? Is how do you make that happen seamlessly? So that is what I'm looking for. As far as what they do with it, I would expect hopefully that they look at something, this holiday for this gen. Maybe there's something coming this gen. If there isn't, then we have to wait a couple of years, right? But I think they can do something this gen by just taking a Series S and saying we're going to make that our performance target for a portable console, and that way we don't have another SKU. So if you want to make a game, you just make it for Xbox, and it just runs on this thing. It just uses the Series S profile, and it just runs, right? You just have to figure out how much storage it's going to have, because that's going to be a problem when you have a portable, right? And then
especially if you're dealing with onboard stuff. Like obviously it's going to be native, so you're going to need a terabyte drive in that thing. Probably, yeah, because most of these games are. What are you going to get on there? 9 games on that thing?
Yeah, well, or 2 Call of Duties.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just facts. Unfortunately, they're like 350 gigs, right? They're ridiculously large. So, so you just have to kind of deal with that, and assuming they're going to, I guess, maintain compatibility with the storage cards that you can buy. So, and then how do you dissipate that heat if you're going to use that storage card? Maybe you say you'd have to use the internal storage whenever you're using it, but you can at least transfer games with the storage card. I don't know. These are things they're going to have to work through, right? But yeah, I mean, that's what my ideal is, that they do release something that has the feel of Xbox. It has to, take away the Windowsiness of it. That has been the biggest hit to the ROG Ally or things like that, right? So, performance target, as long as you, again, don't create a third SKU for this generation, I think it's fine. You just say, hey, it's going to be a Series S, just performance target of Series S, and you're good to go, right? So if they can make that work and bring it out this holiday, fantastic. And by the way, that's very doable, because the hardware that's coming out with things like the ROG Ally, that is a Series S. It's a 4.3 T-flop device. Yep. So it's the same AMD, right? The same CPU, basically 8 cores, right? 16 threads. So it's very close to the same thing. So you probably can get away with just taking the same bloody thing and saying, hey, we're going to make something very similar to a Lenovo Legion Go or a ROG Ally, and that's going to be it. We just put in the Xbox OS on it, and it's an Xbox device, right? And it's going to hit that same performance. Right? It's actually slightly higher than what the Series S has, right? So fair enough, as long as it can kind of meet that, right? Maybe there's some tweaks that are needed there. Fine, they'll figure that out, right? But if it can basically meet the same performance characteristics of that, you can just throw it out there. Like it shouldn't take too much to do this. So, and it's just battery life versus power, right? So we'll see what they do with it, but that's what they have to work through, and so that's what I'm looking. It's really the OS. It's just the bloody software, which Microsoft should be able to fix.
You know what's interesting?
Handheld would be nice.
Yeah, you know what I would be pretty cool. And first of all, let's welcome in Kay Asante. Thanks so much for popping in, brother. I thought you were gonna, obviously you were just gonna not make it today, but it's great to have you here. We're literally talking about your favorite subject, portable hardware.
I heard Hargeet talking about my favorite glasses, so I had to come in here and represent with my favorite glasses. I'm actually playing Balatro right now.
Nice.
I'm playing Balatro as we speak right now. Shout out to the man, the technologists in the room. That's right. Yes, indeed. I'm happy to hear my people represent, and there's not much I even need to add, because between Fuzzy and Hargeet and J-Rock, y'all got it covered, man. This is exactly what we wanted, right? And it's happening. It's going down, and I am super excited about it.
Well, you know what? I want to unearth that excitement in a second, because I want you to. Well, we had a great conversation this afternoon, and I think you were really cooking. But Fuzzy Belvedere, you're one of our tech guys. You know about tech. You appreciate it. You bathe in it, so to speak. What for you is the perfect Xbox handheld? Was it what I mean, because again, I'll come at it from my point of view. I'm a simplistic kind of a dude. I want to plug and play. I really do. Like, I just want to hit the button, see a splash screen, get a dashboard, pick my game, and I want to go. And I think Hargeet has knocked it out of the park in a way that I don't think I could have explained it. One of the things that I dislike about the ROG Ally, because I'm not a PC guy, is the Windows aspect of it. I really dislike that. And the way Phil was speaking in this interview, he understands that because he doesn't like that. And he is a PC guy. So if he wants simplistic hardware, then I think we can hang. What do you want from this hardware?
Basically, kind of like what Hargeet was saying, as far as like a Series S. They're definitely going to have to do something with the power as far as for battery life and stuff like that. But just make it like a cross between a Series S and a Steam Deck. Like it should be possible at this point in time. The power output dialed back a bit will be able to cover for like a 3 hour to 4 hours stint of gameplay on most games. Some of your bigger, more boombastic type games might eat up the battery a little bit faster, but I think this thing still needs to function like a Series S in the sense that it can play YouTube. If you really want, play Netflix. But I think the bigger focus is have it where either it's a PC where you have the Epic Store, Steam, GOG, all of those are like a downloadable app. And then you have the Xbox games, which are either able to be emulated or they convince the third parties that you get that dual entitlement. Or now, since these are just digital entities, we switch the old Xbox profile for that game to this uniform Xbox/PC format or whatever, that now if you bought it once on your Xbox One or Xbox 360, you now still have access to it with it being in your library to play on one device. I think that's the key. Whatever they have to do to make that work, as far as whether it's a PC that emulates console games or it's kind of like dual boot where it's a console that can side load PC games, a terabyte of storage. If possible, although this is probably a stretch, make it compatible with the little cards that they have for the Series S or the Series X, only because people that may have purchased a couple of those wouldn't mind having to just plug that in as a on the go kind of thing. But if that can't be possible in the small footprint or because of heat layout and all that, then SD cards, although SD cards always seem to be a little bit problematic in these PC handhelds, but an SD card is a nice alternative at least.
Do you think that'd be okay though, or maybe like you use that just to maybe store and then you have to bring it to the internal to actually play? Because there's a performance characteristic they have to have, right? They have to
I would imagine that if they use the current card that they use in the series models, then there would be no problem to save it onto that and just play directly from that. If you're talking about putting it onto an SD card, oh man, I don't know. I would imagine you'd have.
I don't think you could play off of that, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
You can, but it wouldn't be like your current Series S or Series X games. Like there's like I have probably 200 to 300 games that can be still played from like an external hard drive without having the little double arrows thing on it. So any of those I think would be fine. But have that as like an option.
That could be a good compromise if you want to stay low on pricing as well.
Yeah. I mean, that would be the big thing, is because I think, yes, while having something that's full bore, dockable, 700 plus probably would sell fairly well. I think having this, maybe it's $100 more than the Switch 2, and it's playing not just Xbox games, but PC games. I think that will go a lot further. Maybe not the same type of numbers, but I think it will garner enough attention where, like I talked about earlier, the Steam early access games for people that are into first-person shooters or military sims and things like that, there's a ton of them that make their way onto Steam, which a lot of them have controller support, which you're probably not going to see on Xbox or console, period, either anytime at all or anytime soon. Things like, well, Tarkov would require a whole different store app, but things like 6 Days of Fallujah is probably not coming to console for at least another year. Undisputed, it's a boxing game, a modern day boxing game that has really a lot going for it. Looks great, runs great, but probably not going to come to console for at least a year. this might be a bit of a stretch, but I even run Beam MG Drive on my Steam Deck. It's dialed down a bit, but it's a soft body physics game, which I know we have simulators and arcade racers and things like that, but for people that just want to have dumb fun and run a car off a bridge or smash a tanker truck into a school bus, or just see how intricate those things, almost like the way Wreckfest is, that's a game that, you know, isn't coming to PC anytime, or isn't coming to console anytime soon. So there's a wide variety of things I would like to see, but just making that blend between the console and the PC space on that one device is the key thing.
Yeah.
Get the third parties on board, and this is a game changer.
Fuzzy,
You know
would
what
the
I'm
handheld be also dockable or have the ability to hook up maybe through HDMI port to a bigger screen?
I think, like, looking at the Steam Deck, they have their own official dock that's like $80,
Yes.
but there's like $20 ones that are on Amazon all day long, which will allow you to hook like a keyboard and mouse or a controller via wire if you didn't want to do Bluetooth. And then you can hook a HDMI to it. Some of them that are like in the $30 range have it where you could do like the Ethernet cable to it as well. So there's tons of options. Like, I wouldn't necessarily need a dock, but I like the idea if this thing is like the footprint of a Series S and the dock has the graphical ability to up-res it almost like a Series X, but, you know, for the next gen, then I'd be fine with it. But then you're probably looking at something that's going to be up there in the 700s, maybe even the 800 range, which I wouldn't be opposed to, because that would be an all-in-one device, which I kind of joked about this earlier today. You know, they should have saved the Xbox One name for this, because you can play your PC
all in one,
games, your console games. You can hook it to a TV. You can take it on the
bring
go.
back
You
the
can hook it to a
360.
monitor. I mean,
360,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it is viable that they potentially have that. Like, so let's say you had an $800 Xbox Series whatever portable that has the entire oomph of a Series X, but when it's portable, it's Series S. That is possible, right?
Yeah.
But it would cost something ridiculous like that, right? So they
Well,
might
you
have to take a hit.
you have to put hardware onto the dock, which is something like you don't have in the Switch. Switch is just,
That's another option, right? Is you can have the hardware, but now that's even more complicated to have the high bandwidth bus between the dock and the device itself, right? So you know, I don't know. So those are all interesting potentials, because you're also talking about memory, right? You'd have to have the whole 16 gigs or whatever, right? Running at very, very high speeds, way higher than the Series S, right? So
But that would be good for quick resume. You just
which is another thing I was
unplug
going to
it,
bring up, is that's a feature that hasn't come to Windows yet. With the next gen, if they're doing this, you should expect, you know, Windows 12/Xbox quick resume will be one of the features that comes to Windows, right? But yeah, that's the thing. I would expect the dock piece of it to just be a dock. It's just, and they definitely should have it. This basically should replace the Series S as one of the Series S options, right? So maybe you keep the lower tier, and the higher tier, the 1 terabyte one, is this thing, right? And then keep it at 350, right? Or make it 400, right? And say it's now a portable. It has a terabyte, and you dock it. It's you know, at home. It competes pretty well with the Switch, right?
Yeah.
The Switch is about that much, isn't it? About $400.
Yeah.
So, right, it's 3 something for the normal one, but it's, I think the OLED is 400, right? It's 399, something like that.
Yeah.
ancient.
So,
tech.
or is it 350 for the OLED one? I don't remember the exact numbers, but it would compete in that range, right? So, so not bad if they did that.
So let me ask, before you move to K, let me ask everybody something. Who do you think they partner up with? Is it AMD, Intel, NVIDIA?
Ooh,
For this?
Yeah, it's
for
I know
which
I saw a
one?
lot
The
of
next
people
gen
in
or this
chat
gen?
want NVIDIA. They want to
The next gen. The next gen.
Yeah.
Oh, the next gen. I think it's gonna be AMD again, because I think they already signed an agreement with them, right? So
yeah.
And maybe that agreement is just for this gen, maybe, but I doubt that that's what they would have done, right? The shopping around would have been for next gen, and it looks like they went with AMD again. It's just hard to beat them at price, you know, for performance. They're pretty good right now.
Yeah. Well, I know there was some talk about ARM I don't think they're going with ARM personally. I think you're right. I think MD is going to be where they're going to go with next. But Kay, listen, you know, we're closing in on the by you know, back end of the show. Want to get your hot take on your ideal Xbox portable. But real quick, let me just catch up on a couple of super chats here. We have here Royal Boyle 78. Salute, sir. Thanks so much for being here as always. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, always here to show support to the Boom Man. That's very kind of you, brother. Super appreciate that. And and his always great panel. I hope all of you are having a great evening, and the chat as well, brother. Thank you so much. Salute to you for the very kind words, and of course, more importantly, the generosity, because you continue to support the channel. We truly and honestly appreciate that. Hush Al Ghul doesn't drop one; he drops two super chats. The first one of $5. He says, if they're looking into PC games, they will release a Steam controller where you remove one joystick for a mouse pad, make some games easier to port. That sounds dope. I could see them actually doing that. That would be cool. And he says on the second $2 super chat, he says, how hard is it to port an Xbox UI to the handheld? Dude, I don't know. Anybody in the panel want to answer that question, because I am not a tech guy.
So
like
either K or me, we probably. Well, so look, I can give you a potential for it. It depends on what you want to give up. If you want to give up the ability to do mods, if you want to give up the ability to see your file system, you could pretty much do it now. It's not that difficult. They could port it over. It's just running on a PC today, right? The Xbox is just a PC, so they could port it over, right? There'd probably be some tuning required to make sure it runs correctly on what they have, right? Make sure all the drivers and everything are very locked down from Microsoft, right? So if they want to do it, they could do it, right? It's just, what are you willing to give up, right? So if you want to take away the PC-ness of it altogether, no Steam, no Epic, no nothing, it becomes an Xbox. You can just do it today. It's if you want the rest of it, then it becomes a problem, because they haven't done it yet, at least that we know.
Yeah, I mean, it's, look, I follow the lead of these guys. They're tech guys, and that's that I at least do know that. Yeah, it would depend on what they want to give up. We have here, let's see, Tim Oikoin. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Says, so this huge leap Sarabond was talking about must not apply to the handheld. Yeah, the handheld is not going to be a huge leap. The huge leap that she was referring to, I believe, was the next gen console. Again, this is pure speculation. I don't have any idea how I can see things playing out.
Yeah, it could be that the next gen console is also portable, right? But we don't know what that looks like. So,
right.
Or it could be the same as a Series S and X, and you have a S2, which is the portable, and an X2, which is the console under the TV.
Right.
We'll see. We don't know.
It's going to be very interesting to see. The next couple of years, I can see this playing out where the ROG Allies and the Steam Decks of the world are going to get a UI upgrade. There's going to be an Xbox UI download that makes those things like an Xbox. I don't know if there's enough time in 2024 for a handheld. I don't know if is there a portable currently in form factor? Are people using it? Are people at Xbox play testing it? I don't have any idea, but I know that.
Who was saying that? I thought was it Jazz? Somebody was saying that they are testing several.
Oh no,
I don't know if that was
testing.
directly
I don't know if they're
them.
out in the wild, like people are taking plane trips and showing, playing these things.
I don't think they would have them on a plane, because that's public, right? Yeah, I know, but they're play testing several different prototypes, right? So, so they could be ready to roll, right? And it's just a question of production. How many can they actually make in a given time frame, right? So, right.
Well,
again, if it is like a ROG Ally, then it should be doable.
If they show it off in June,
yeah,
for a holiday release, they have 5 months.
It's viable. Yeah,
so it's technical viable. Yeah, it would be very interesting. Look, I'm.
They're gonna show Gears of War 6 running on it. Imagine it.
Holy moly! Yeah, you know what? I mean, it's.
You think Gears 6 comes out next year?
Next year, I think that's the rumor. But again, there's also another rumor that we're going to get an Unreal Engine 5 of the Gears collection. And yes, and yes for me, please. I will take that all day long.
Oh man, I was hoping that would be a launch title. Unless they
Gear
have a Halo
6?
ready for us. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was thinking that could be a launch title for the next gen.
It could very
But-
well be. You know, again, maybe the whole point of a Gears collection is to get their developers trained on Unreal Engine 5, and they put that out for the masses because we haven't had a Gears in a long time. We all play it, we all love it, and then they launch Gear 6 along with Elder Scrolls 6 and potentially a new Forza for the launch. And now what you talk about is people are going to be buying Xboxes because Sony is not going to have a console to match. They're just not. Xbox
and
is
then
going to jump
they
them.
also have Halo. That'd be awesome if they had like Halo
dude.
and Gears and Forza
The
and Elder
Trinity?
Scrolls
The
and Blade. Oh,
It'd be ridiculous.
Now, Hargy, we've seen how Hellblade 2 looks. We've seen how that Captain America Black Panther looks with that Unreal
Dude, looks
Engine.
good.
That Gear
Yeah.
6.
Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it. Kay Asante had to go take care of some family stuff, so obviously, big shout out to Kay for jumping in when even for the few minutes that he was here. Let's get to the outros. Get everyone out here on time. Let me just make sure I'm up to date with my super chats. Yes, I've got all of the super chats. Again, big thank you to all of the generous super chatters that are here. We super appreciate it. And again, we're giving away tomorrow $200 worth of gift cards, two $50 gift cards, four $25 gift cards, and we're giving away 6 of these special edition coins that were gifted to us by Ben Kenobi. They are Diablo 4 coins. They're limited. They only made about 100 of them, and we're giving away 6 of them to 6 winners on top of the other 6 winners that are going to win gift cards. Listen, all you got to do to win is just tune in. Tune in tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me and C Money are going to be doing X Vlog Live, and maybe you'll win one of the prizes. And all you got to do to win is just be in the chat. We'll start first with J-Rock, brother. Sell your brand, kind sir. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media and what else you got going on.
Well, they can always follow me on Twitter. I'm sure you'll post the links.
Yes, the link is there for everybody to click on.
Absolutely, they can always find me there. Have some good conversations. Matter of fact, boom. This Saturday, we're gonna host a Halo game night.
Oh, okay.
Everybody's been asking for it. We're gonna do it. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
I gotta show my skills online. Okay, here we go. Now,
yeah,
I gotta record that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Just come through. We have fun. We'll have fun. So this Saturday, 9 o'clock ish Eastern Standard Time, we will host a Halo game night. It'll be fun.
Yes, absolutely. Nice, brother. Thanks so much for being here, Jay. Super appreciate all the hot take opinions and looking forward to that Halo game night as well. Hargeet Chani, please sell the brand of Game On Daily. This is a great site. They've shown a lot of growth. They've done a lot of things. There's been, obviously everyone's doing some different things now. There's a specific channel for Gaz and the Septic Sauce. Asa is doing his thing. He has a couple of podcasts that he's doing along with everything that they do on Game On Daily. Brother, sell the brand. And more importantly, where can people not find you on social media?
Of course, yeah. Don't ever find me on social media. So I don't know if people saw this. I don't know. I put a little thing in the chat here. Apparently there's some leaked images of the new all digital Series X.
It's white. Yes. I saw that today, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I mean, it's no disk drive. You can clearly see that there's no disk drive. So
yeah, cool. But anyways, GameOnDaily.com, YouTube.com/GameOnDaily. And I will be on the next podcast will be C Money's Friday night, 6 p.m. US Eastern Time, the night shift. Check that out. And it's on Point for Gamers, I think.
Yeah, on Point for Gamers. Yes.
Yeah, is their site on YouTube. So check that out. And then back on Fonz's. So hopefully I think he's feeling better now. So hopefully we'll be on this Sunday, 6 p.m. US Eastern Time on Fonz Gaming's channel for Games Talk Live. And then back here next week for Primetime Gaming when we find out what craziness comes up next week.
I tell you, there's no boring week, that is for sure. So Hargeet, thank you so much for being here. Fuzzy Belvedere, brother, thanks so much for joining us. Obviously, we're not doing a Breakfast at Boom this Friday, and it's great to have your hot takes, especially when it comes to the tech. Please sell your brand. Tell everyone where they can subscribe to your YouTube channel, where it's the best place for anything and everything in the racing genre. What you got going on, and where can people follow you on social media?
Oh, just want to thank you for having me on. It was awesome being on here with you guys. Always love being on the shows with Hardgeek and J Rock. We need to be on probably some more shows, so we'll be talking in the DMs. But
No doubt.
This Xbox news is so much better than the doom and gloom stuff, for the fact that we're looking forward to stuff that's pretty much right around the corner. I mean, we have a roadmap. We have, some hardware rumors going around for the best. I would say look forward to it, guys. It's not going to hurt you. It's going to get you ready for a lot more game playing. I've definitely gone from, just playing on console to playing a little bit more on PC, and, my portable, my Steam Deck. It's good times. But for those that want to follow me for anything gaming related, my rambles and rants, just follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at @fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on Fun Speculations channel, 10 p.m. Eastern time, Friday night for Xbox Ultimate Shop Podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern time on PTK Blam's channel. And then Pixelated Echoes on Sunday with 3-Bit at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Look forward to seeing you guys there. Thanks again.
Thank you so much. Hey, Kay Asante, brother, I know your internet dropped out. We still got to give you an outro, and
it is raining badly here, sir. I'm dropping out left and right, and that's the reason why I'm not gonna be on cam. But I will say I love the fact that y'all got a chance to listen to all these brilliant individuals speak. You've heard me talk about handhelds forever. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to hear it. You can catch me this weekend on GCP. I will have a guest, that blue number. Holly will be joining us, and we're also going to be
Blue's going to be there.
Nice,
indeed,
dude.
she will.
Okay,
be there.
okay,
indeed,
nice.
Yes, we're also going to be introducing a new segment that I've been trying to. We're going to be testing out with members that have joined us that will join us and possibly have a segment of their own. I think JD Gamer will be in the spot to talk about.
Nice,
talk
very
about
nice.
some games as well. So come check us out Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard. And yeah, we're going to talk more about these handhelds because, we're all excited about it. Thank you guys so much for checking the show out. As
everyone should be. And thank you, brother. Super appreciate you jumping in when you did. Sorry about the internet issues that you're having.
It happens, brother. It happens.
It's Florida. Yes, that's how you guys got. It's raining cats and dogs. It was raining cats and dogs. Yeah, I was nervous that because we're by the water, so I was afraid, man. We're by the end of the line. I'm like, crap, we're gonna lose power. But thankfully we didn't. Once again, a big thank you to over 800 people that were watching us live. It does mean a lot to us. We're a very small channel still, and we would not be here without you watching us. I do this Monday through Friday, 5 different shows, 5 different panels, all great content. We don't clickbait you. We don't hate monger you. We don't sell hate to get you in here. We come here. Everything is well researched. We give credit where we pull the stories from. And hopefully you enjoyed it enough to do 2 things. 1, hit the like button before you get on out of here, and potentially subscribe if you're not already subscribed. We would greatly appreciate that. And of course, a big thank you to the Super Chats once again. The generosity is just, we don't know what to say, but thank you for supporting Double Barrel Gaming. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully, folks, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.